What's happening, roadies? Today's episode is sponsored by airturn.com. Since 2008, AirTurn has been manufacturing wireless products such as Bluetooth pedals and multifunction remotes, supporting hundreds of thousands of customers in over 40 countries. They have a wide range of products to choose from, including the AirTurn Go Stand, one of the best portable mic stands on the market that I use on this show on a regular basis. So head over to airturn.com, use the code ROADIE. You will save yourself 10% off your entire order. That's ROADIE over at airturn.com to save yourself 10% off your entire order.
What's happening, roadies? This is Dave Ratt.
This is Lauren Crowley.
What's happening, roadies? This is Grace Royse, and you're listening to Roadie Free Radio.
What's up, roadies? My name is Larry Milburn, and this is Roadie Free Radio, your VIP pass to meet and greet the stars behind the scenes of the music and film business. All right. What's happening, roadies? Welcome back to the show that keeps rolling week after week. This is episode 127. This is Larry Milburn, your host. I am coming at you from a barn in Northwest Connecticut. Guess what? It's slowly starting to get warmer. Thank you guys for joining us this week. I really appreciate it. I always appreciate and love having you here to listen to these amazing stories with these incredible people that happen to just be popping back on the show. I love it, man. Today's guest is no exception. The rockin', the coolest, Miss Grace Royse is on the show today. Live sound engineer, production manager, tour manager, stage manager, broadcast mixer, Pro Tools engineer. There's not much this woman doesn't do, okay? She's kind of a badass. We're going to get to her. We're going to get to her story in just a little bit, just a few moments. But first up, happy birthday is in order to a few folks. Mr. Mike Dubois, graphic designer Mike Dubois, an early guest here of Roadie Free Radio. Great guy, phenomenal graphic designer and artist in his own right, has done amazing tour posters, has a killer little studio up in Woodstock, New York, Happy Life Productions. If you're up there, go check it out. Tell Mike you say what's up because you heard about him right here on Roadie Free Radio. Also got to give a shout out. Happy birthday, Chip Auchincloss, my cousin from I don't even know how that works. Your cousin, you know, your the mother from another mother, brother from another mother. What's a cousin? Cousin from other lovin'? I don't know. My step cousin, Chip Auchincloss. Happy birthday, my man. And Derek Hill, production designer for some feature films and a TV show called Ozark. But most importantly, he was a production designer on a short film called Roadie, starring yours truly. Way back 15 years ago this June, my friends, that short film premiered. Now, Derek Hill is an awesome guy and was kind enough to take a break from his feature film work to come and work on my short film Roadie, which you've heard me talk about right here. And you can catch over at the website, roadiefreeradio.com. Hit that button, film, and Roadie's going to pop up. It's going to change your life just like it changed mine. Let's keep this going. Rest in peace time. Hal Blaine, drummer. Hal Blaine, award-winning, rock chart hitting. Hal Blaine left us this week. So did Charlie Karp. You guys know I posted a lot about Charlie, past guest, episode 18. Charlie Karp, singer, songwriter, guitarist, producer, hell of a nice guy. Unfortunately, Charlie went very quickly this last week. And he is gone. He's gone too soon. Also, I can't remember if I mentioned this one in the last couple of weeks. This popped up on my radar. The actor Jan Michael Vincent. Now, he's got nothing to do with being a roadie or this show other than the fact that I was hooked on the show Airwolf. Did any of you guys watch the show Airwolf back when Knight Rider was around, right? Knight Rider had the talking car. Airwolf was this super cool stealth helicopter piloted by Jan Michael Vincent and his sidekick, Ernest Borgnine. And I don't know, man. I was hooked on that show, a ninja show called The Master. Did you guys ever watch that? And Knight Rider, The A-Team, all that good stuff. Riptide. Anyway, Jan Michael Vincent, he left us as well. So there you go. Those are my shout outs. I got to give you some truth. little truth here from your buddy Larry. I think I'm hungover. I think I'm legitimately slightly hungover. Not full. I only had about 3 beers last night, but I think I'm hungover. I went to a party last night over in Pawling, New York. I was invited by someone who's going to be a future guest on this show to this sort of jam, this party jam thing that was happening. And I enjoyed myself. I had a few beers, listened to a lot of great music. I can't quite tell you whose house it was, not yet. I can tell you when I have this guest on. I think I can tell you then, but I can't tell you just yet. I don't want to keep it. It's kind of on the down low, the QT. So I'm going to keep it low, but it was great. And it's just inspired me more to play. I had a couple of events this week that made me just sit there and go, you know what, dude, pick up the guitar, start playing again, start playing more, hit some open mic nights, get out there, jam with some people, will you? It just, when you've got that thing and you're like, come on, you did this for a long time. Get out there, keep playing, don't lose it. So that was the week. That the other one was the Phil Lesh show, birthday show at the Capitol Theater, March 14th that I went to see Brian Rashap, Jackie Green, John Schofield, John Molo on drums, Graham Lesh, Phil Lesh, and of course Ben Montench playing keys. What a night. What an incredible night, and made better, and I hope he's listening, by the fact that I got to hang out with Mr. Jason Greenberg. Okay, you guys know that guy? Listen, anyone here who knows Jason Greenberg, he's a great guy, great engineer, and he's elusive as all hell to get on this show, but we're going to get him on, all right? Greenberg, you hear me, pal? You're coming on the show. If all these people listening got something to say about it, you'll be on the show. Listen, we got buttons. Have you seen the buttons I posted on Instagram? We got buttons. They're going to be in the merch store making an appearance this week. Grab yourself some buttons. They say, I love my roadie. So all you crew members out there, get yourself some buttons, okay? Give them to your artists. Let's get these artists. I want to see Bono walking around, The Edge walking around with a button that says, I love my roadie. Now, of course, if your loved one is a roadie, you could wear one of these buttons as well. No problem. They're going to be, I haven't priced them out yet. I think they're going to be like $1, something like that, 99 cents a button, or you can get like a 3-pack, get some stickers. I'm going to put the stickers in, buttons. I got some posters from that film I did, Brass, Glass, and Steel. Going to throw those up there, and we're going to get the shirts back. So keep an eye out. Merch is coming, and I want to thank everybody who's gotten a sticker recently for slapping that sticker on your flight case and getting some pictures for me. I muchly appreciate it. It's very nice. Hey, you guys remember John O'Manson? He was a guest on the show, singer, songwriter, great dude, great story. Lives currently in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Has announced he's going to be working on his first new album in years. Good luck to you, Jono. Cannot wait to check it out. If you don't know Jono, head back, look in the archives, roadiefreeradio.com, find his episode. What are you people doing April 7th? Because I'm going to be at the Northeast Guitar Expo in Wallingford, Connecticut at the Oakdale Theater. I cannot wait to go. Northeast Guitar Expo, bringing the kid, bringing the 3-year-old, check out some guitars, see if I can't get them to plug in and turn up. You know what I'm saying? April 7th, Oakdale Theater in Wallingford, Connecticut. I'm also going to be March 23rd hanging at the Warner Theater in Torrington, Connecticut, checking out the Indigo Girls and saying hello to my buddy Brian Spicer, front of house engineer. Can't wait for that. And what else we got coming up? We got the Relics Music Conference coming up at the Brooklyn Bowl, May 14th and 15th. I think I'm going to get to go this year. That'll be very cool. I can't wait to do that. So I hope to see you there. Now listen, guys, today's episode, we got another sponsor for today's episode. Stagehands Clothing. Based in Chicago. This here is a husband and wife team, and they've created the one-stop shop for backstage professionals who are always working hard behind the scenes and count on high-quality, durable workwear. If you guys want to look good, you want to look stealth, check out stagehandsclothing.com. They carry everything from men's and women's apparel and plenty of super cool gear to keep you ready for the next task. You got to be ready. Use the code ROADIE. Get yourself 20% off that entire order. That's ROADIE at stagehandsclothing.com. Get yourself 20% off your entire order. Okay, here we go. Here's what I'm going to say about today's guest. I've been on a run of some great interviews. I'm having a blast. By the way, a shout back. I'm going to call back to Jason Greenberg. Greenberg has decided to go toe-to-toe with my other booking agent, Nightbob, in terms of funneling me guests. He's decided he's going to outdo Nightbob in how many guests he can get me. So we're going to have a run coming up of some amazing, amazing people. Grace, however, came to me through Carrie Kais. Now, Grace is an ultra badass. I've had some badass women on this show, but just sort of, non-gender specific, just a person, just a killer fucking person. Grace does everything. She lives on a boat, for God's sakes. All right. She's out there fighting the good fight every day. The world is burning. I'm going to follow Grace into the flames. She's been in the biz for about 15 years. Super Bowl, Simon Cowell, 311, Lauryn Hill, Cypress Hill, and New York and LA Pride Fest. She can count these things. This is just a short list, people, of what she's been involved in. She's pretty amazing. I can tell you that. We get into it. We go deep and we go quick. So I hope you guys like this episode. I think you will. She's inspiring. And, she comes out of the punk world, that do-it-yourself thing. She figured out how to do it herself. She had some great mentors. It's important to find yourself a few mentors that you can always use as a sounding board. And then when you get to a certain level, you got to turn around and be a mentor for somebody else. All right? That's what it takes in this world, in this business, to keep your head on straight. Look, guys, we're also sponsored today by giggear.com. All right? Gig Gear. They make award-winning gloves and the newly released two-hand touch. Gig gloves are the best way to protect your most valuable asset on any gig, job, or show. Those are your hands, right? When you're wearing gig gloves, there's practically no task you can't do with your gloves on, keeping you safer and more efficient, right? Because you can push a case, you can lift it up off the truck, and you can just pull the pads off and check your phone real quick. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3. And for all of you front of house and monitor engineers out there, the two-hand touch is an efficient and ergonomic solution that eliminates all of the problems of having to hold an iPad or tablet by putting it right where production pros need it to be, directly in front of them. Now, when you use the code ROADIE, you will get yourself 15% off your entire order. So check out their website, gig-gear.com, and use the code ROADIE to get 15% off your entire order. Friends, I thank you for stopping by this week. I hope you enjoy this episode. Please hit me up with a comment or a note. Let me know what you think. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com. Here we go. Buckle up, kids. This is a good one. This is a goddamn good one. Miss Grace Royse.
Hit it. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie.
And Grace, thank you for being on the show today. What's going on? Where are we talking to you from?
I am in sunny Los Angeles, California, and I hate to brag. I know everyone else is shoveling snow, but it's like 75 degrees at the beach today.
Do you see what I'm wearing? I'm in a quilted jacket.
I know. I've got long sleeves on just to cover up the tattoos and look professional as I walk through the office.
No need to look professional on this show. It's freezing. Well, it's not actually that cold anyway. It's slowly getting warmer, but there's still snow on the ground, and my office is basically underground. The wall behind me you're seeing with all that stone is basically the ground on the other side. So it projects cold air, and then I get to look out in the hills out there. But anyway, how are you? What's going on? Where do we find you today? What stage of things are you in?
I am in the pre-production planning stage of a couple 5-ish festivals. Kind of goes all at the same time this time of year. It's like the snowfall, ends, and then of course it's festival season, and we go full throttle. So I've got one in LA, one in New York, Bahamas, Boston. Where else? Yeah, just all over the place.
That's fantastic.
It's planning season, and then of course the minute the sun's out, we're gonna party.
That sounds very good. Now, So you live in LA now?
I do. I live in LA. I actually bought a little sailboat here. I have a property up in Missoula, Montana that I'm working on, but right now it's just studs. I've literally torn it down to nothing. And, it's kind of a compromise at the moment to live on a sailboat. But decided to take some sailing lessons, and I'm certified as a captain. Thanks to my very brave roadie friends that were down to sail with me all last year, and I got certified with all those hours of sailing and made them sign my logbook. And it turns out the transition from roadie to pirate, really easy.
Super easy.
Dude,
right?
It's just like living on a tour bus but without the rumble strips and without 11 other people bumping into me all night long.
Well, right. I was going to say, is there actually a transition to be made? I mean, to be a roadie, don't you need to be part pirate?
Totally. And really, like, my friends were up there on the deck pulling sheets and doing the damn thing. And it turns out, like, we're a great team. It doesn't matter if we're doing shows or trying to not drown.
Yeah. Which also can happen during a festival, right? I mean,
same difference.
So yeah, but I again, with the roadie pirate thing, I mean, jumping in to lend a helping hand is not a foreign thing to people when there's work to be done in our line of work.
Yeah, and being a team is vital. I'm really lucky. A little background on me. I come out of the punk rock world. I was kind of raised in the No Effects Fat Records family, touring with No Use for a Name, Useless ID, Poor Habit, Death by Stereo. Then kind of graduated into Descendants, Pennywise, Sublime with Rome, Dirty Heads, 311, The Offspring. I've just kind of always been a little bit of a punk. And once I got my foothold in the industry, it became more about building a network of people and less about proving like, oh, I'm tough and I'm cool and I can hang out with the boys. And now it's more like, I got a team that we can absolutely go anywhere in the world and pull off a killer show, So
That's awesome.
It really is about teamwork.
Yeah, and those bands that you just named and coming up in that world, were you referring to them as sort of the scene that you were part of, and or the folks you were working with, the artists you were working with?
No, those were my artists.
Those are all your artists, yeah.
Yeah.
And why that world? Like, were you sort of already into that mindset and that world of punk, and you just tried to find a way to work with bands in that world, or how did that all come about?
It was kind of my first introduction to music. I dropped out of high school. I went and worked in a recording studio and ended up opening my own recording studio. And anybody that runs a production house will tell you that, it really drives deep into the scene once you get the word out that, man, that snare, where'd you guys get that sound? And man, those guitar layers, it all fits together. And like our room sounded really good. I had a business partner that just kicked butt and was also in a punk rock band. So he was doing a lot of the legwork out there in the bars and the clubs, getting clients in. And we both ended up running a pretty huge theater in Arizona, like 2,000, 3,000 cap. And we were getting the Flogging Mollies, the Dropkick Murphys, and I got a really great relationship rocking with those tour managers when I was really young. And I would say, take me with you. Oh, yeah, whatever. Until, of course, Mike and the NoFX team came through and they're like, wouldn't that be funny? All right, fine, get on the bus.
Right, dare ya.
And, they'll even tell you, like, they hired me as a kid because I thought it was kind of funny, and then it turned out like, whoa, crap, you're really good. And recently on this last I've gone into the pop world. That's it's just kind of what happens. You grow into different genres as you go. And I actually took a pretty big pop act into a club. And when I walked in the door, there was my tour manager from NoFX. His retirement plan, he bought a club in San Francisco, and there he was. And he's like, what are you doing here? And why are you bringing a semi truck worth of shit into my club?
Who is it?
Sorry, the NoFX tour manager it's slipping my mind right now. Slims, San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So wait, let's go back here. We're 8 minutes in, 9 minutes in, and we've dropped a lot of shit to dissect.
Okay, good.
Not the least of which is living on a sailboat and having a house that's in the middle of being studded in Missoula, Montana. So, all right, you grew up in Arizona.
Yep.
Big family, little family, siblings.
Not really any family. I grew up in kind of a rough neighborhood, and
Where in Arizona?
On the far west side, Avondale, and that whole neighborhood is scarred by addiction, broken families, and back to the punk thing. That's really where I got my group of friends. We all bonded over, being kind of the homeless kids running around, and my family, they were kind of pseudo around enough to keep an eye on us, but my house ended up being the house where, like, we can drain your pool and skate it, right? Totally. Let's spray paint the back wall. And so that's where we all hung out, and the bands jammed in the garage. And I followed one of those bands into the recording studio that I ended up working at for the next 7 years. So that's really how it all happened. They went back, after summer junior year, they all went back to high school, and I didn't.
Where?
Like, nah, no thanks.
when and how did the music thing, aside from listening and aside from forming this group of friends, but do you remember those early sort of inklings of, like, not just being a fan of music, but this is a world I could be a part of? Maybe. How?
Yeah. I was always really good with technical, nerdy stuff. Even though I didn't go to class, I got A's pretty easily, and it wasn't hard once I got into the studio and I was digging around. The producer was actually transitioning. This is going to tell you how old I am. The producer was transitioning from tape to digital.
Okay.
And so he was kind of in the middle of gutting the studio, and that's why he gave us such a wonderful deal on gear and studio time, and was like, all right, if you guys are down to help me rewire this thing and you don't care that it's going to take me a minute to figure out this whole Pro Tools thing, and I think I adapted quicker to it because I was younger than he did, and I just got in there and I loved it. He didn't offer me a job right away. It was like any internship. I had to wash the car and take care of some booking type things and set up the studio. And back then I didn't really understand why I was washing the car and what that had to do with studio time. But now in retrospect, it makes so much sense to me that if he's willing to trust me with his $25,000 car, then leaving me overnight in a multi-million-dollar studio is probably not as big a deal.
Yeah. Do you have people that work for you now, that intern for you now?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Do you put them through those kind of paces where you're like, let's see if you can go make me a cup of coffee with the right ingredients?
Coffee, yeah. I mean, doing little runs for the bands here and there, managing a little bit of a sum of money. Mostly I like to kind of throw them in the fire because for me it's more about I want to see what that default attitude is when the shit hits the fan. Mm-hmm. We live in a world where it's really high stress. It's really loud. My festivals, I've got like 4 or 5 stages going on at once, which means it's never quiet. I want to hear that you can keep your cool when you've got a TM screaming at you about what's in their trailer, if you're still acting cool over the radio and not shifting blame. My number one dead giveaway that someone's not trustworthy or sturdy is that they're not able to, I'm not saying take all the responsibility of someone else's bad actions,
sure, but
don't shift the blame. If you can come to me and be like, this is what's going on, the patch got messed up, this is what we have to do, come with some solutions, not just the problem. Then I know, like, man, I can tell who's going to be a runner for the next 5 years and who's probably going to be running the festival with me come next year.
Wow. it's a hard thing, that little piece right there, right? Because you're right. I mean, it is important to throw people right into the fire. And, I was similar thing as you when I was interning in theater and whatnot. It was, go get me a cup of tea and sweep the floor and do all that kind of stuff. And as a young person, I talk about this on the show a lot. You're kind of like, what the fuck am I doing, man? Pushing the broom, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But if you can't do that, if you can't do that task, with a smile on your face and do it right, people scoff at the coffee thing or whatever it is. But it's like, if you can't, it's all about following direction. That's it. Right.
And stupid tasks like the coffee, I really want to see, like when they walk into the room and they've got the handful of coffee and they go to put it down, and I say, go ahead and go in there and hand it to the star. I want to see how they're handling themselves,
Right.
I seriously, I'm the on-site PM for the audio department at Super Bowl, everything but halftime. And I had engineers this year, not on my team, that I actually had to hire locally because they were adding more stages than I had staff for. And I had engineers like taking video, like, well, you're fired forever, and they're handing me their business card as they're leaving the room going, that was so great, thanks for having us. And I'm going, this guy's not going to understand why I'm never going to have him back.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not that he wasn't a good mixer, it's that he's around the front of the stage filming the sound check like a dum-dum.
Right.
That's just not our team's mission statement. Is insert blank pop star here. Like, I do not care. I could drop names that light the room on fire, and one of my buddies, Jack, always makes fun of me. He's like, you never even tell people, like, you tell them all about your punk stuff, but like, why don't you tell them about the last 5 years, And it's like, that's not notoriety, fame, fortune doesn't even skirt my top 10 values. And if it skirts yours, you're not going to be on the team for long.
So what are your top 3 values?
Well, I think they're all really personal, honestly, but I do encourage people to write down, sit down and write why you do what you do. At least 5 things, because if you write down the 5 reasons why you get up out of the morning and are willing to go toe to toe with, let's say, a production manager that doesn't agree with you about something, an audio engineer that is showing up late, or whatever's going on, having those healthy conflicts, and moreover, not needing to be right. Like, conflict resolution is not the outcome can't be dependent on the conversation. The conversation has to be healthy, because I'm going to be more intimate with people on my crew that I go toe to toe with than some of my closest friends. Like, you're going to really know each other through and through. And I don't have to get my way for that conversation to be successful. But if I know the top 5 reasons why I do what I do, then if I'm pushed aside, treated badly, whatever, it doesn't change how I feel about the mission or what it is that, I'm doing. I could share a couple of them with you. Like, for me, number 1 is when I was a kid, going to shows. Like, my very first show where I got out of the house and went by myself was Rage Against the Machine and Gang Starr. My second one was 9 Inch Nails. And there's just that feeling that you get when you're allowed to turn off in your head what your problems are. And when I see the kids out there that are like really having a good time, it's my responsibility to keep them safe and keep everything happening on time, and they have a good time, they leave happy and healthy, I'm good. You can call me an SOB or whatever because I didn't let your band go for another 10 minutes. I don't care, because the kid in the front row is smiling, know?
Right. Yeah.
And my number 2 is to grow a culture of support and purpose in others within this industry. It has been, the biggest challenge of my career. I hate to throw down the girl card, but I've got to do it. Is being a woman in this industry is hard. And I still to this day deal with a vintage attitude of guys, saying things they shouldn't say and being crummy. And honestly, I'm really candid with my girls about what it takes to be successful out here and to know their why. Because being a woman on the road is not as easy as, being a cool person to hang out with, sipping whiskey with the boys and being cool or whatever might get you a little bit of the way. But it takes so much more than that. You've got to have that purpose. It fosters that resilience. And then when you have the inevitable crummy situations, it's not going to change the way you feel about your gig. It's not going to shake you, and it is a big deal. And it is still, there's a lot of girls coming up in our industry, which is awesome. Yep. And I guess my number 3 value is to make sure that I take some of the headwind head on so that, the girls that are in school now, they're not going to get as much of it. But I still get it. Like back when I worked at that theater, there was a PM position that came about, and I'd been engineering there for several years. I put my name in the hat to PM, and he straight up said, "Nah, I got real roadies coming through here. I can't have a girl running the place. They'll never take you seriously." And later on, I had a dispute with that same GM. A colleague of mine was hella inappropriate about something, and we're in his office, and he turns to his boss and goes, "See, this is why I don't want girls in production. They're drama, they're nothing but problems, and no more women ever are allowed to work in production in this theater." And I took the next tour bus out of town, and that was, more than a decade ago. And I guess a lot of that was to prove that, girls aren't the problem. It's what we need to do is shift the culture and just get everybody on the same page. And I can go into a room screaming like, "Girl power, everybody's, listen to me. And I know what I'm talking about all I want." But it's really the men on my team that make the choice that I do like working on a team with this girl. Like, she's got my best interest. She keeps a level head. She's got some values that match mine. And she doesn't have that gig swiping, hiding information, stingy mentality. And that's what I want. And those are my dudes that, when we're out on these big sites like Boston Calling, or Austin City Limits, somebody whistles at me funny or is acting inappropriate. My boy Ruben's the first boy to stand up. That big old beard comes out and he's like, "Yo, that's not what we're doing." That's what it takes. This isn't a spiel for other girls. This is me trying to encourage men to stand up and get on board with I follow that. This is what I think too, Yeah.
So let's talk about these last 10 years since that event happened and you split. Do you think things have changed? Are things getting better?
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's still a process, Just last week I had a production meeting with not a vendor, an ops manager, that we were having a conflict about using cranes on site for a particular build. And I corrected him because there was a discrepancy about the price point. I was like, "Man, I feel like you might be getting ripped off here, because you do not need a crane to build that size stage. And you definitely don't need a crane for an arch, this size or smaller." And he reached over, put his hand up on my leg and said, "Oh, look at you, not just a pretty face. You know something about staging." I was just like, "Excuse me, is that supposed to be a compliment? Would you say that to him?" And I pointed at the guy across the room, and the answer is hell no, he wouldn't say that to him. Wow. And that was last week. So girls that are coming up and thinking like, "Oh, it's not like that. That won't happen to me." Well, it's still going down. Happened to me last week, happened to me the week before that. But it doesn't shake how I feel about my team, my industry, and what I know, I want to see happen.
How do you keep that reserve? How do you not let it shake how you feel about the industry? I mean, you must have days when you're like, "What the fuck, man?
Totally.
This is just not going to fucking change," right?
Totally.
So how do you keep that? Yeah.
I get pissed, but I've got my mentors. I've got the homies that I call. And I went back to my hotel room. I was pissed. I was thinking, I'm going to drop that festival on their ass. I'm going to take my vendors with me, la, la, la. But that's not really how I feel. When I look at my values, that's not how I feel. When I let that emotion out, that's not how I feel. It all comes down to fear. You know, when I was a kid punk and I was really just going around kicking people in the shins to be heard and to get on teams, I was just kind of bouncing back and forth between what I was afraid I wouldn't get and what I was afraid of losing. So if I take any extreme fear or any extreme emotion like hate, you hate somebody, you hate something that's going down, you're pissed about this, screw that guy, you know, I challenge people. And because I'll tell you, this is what my mentor told me. I'm sitting in that hotel room cussing and kicking pillows, and he's going, write down the 5 things you're afraid of. I'm not afraid, I'm pissed. He's like, yeah, well, good luck with that. You're going to stay pissed then. I need you to write down the 5 things you're afraid of. And you do that, and I tell you, it just disappears, because it also comes down to what that counterpart is afraid of. And if you can look at the person you're in conflict with and maybe make a educated guess about what they're afraid of, or keep asking questions until you can answer what they're afraid of. What that guy was afraid of is that the girl in the room was about to find out that he was taking a financial kickback from that vendor. He was doing something shady. He was also using a vendor that's not trustworthy, you know, and luckily we're not using that vendor anymore. I don't think it's a good idea to ever use a vendor you don't trust. That's how stages fall over on people. And the only way I can keep my team safe is to go toe to toe with some of these people. And if I'd taken that personally and just bit down on it, I would have lost, you know? And again, it's not about winning the fight, but it's more about having enough conversation so you can answer those questions. What am I afraid of? What is he afraid of? And you'll never have to defend your point of view if it's the right thing. When I find myself in defense and I'm defending, I'm definitely wrong about something. And it's time to just keep having those conversations.
Who is your mentor?
Am I allowed to say? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sounds like it's a man.
I've got 3. Yeah.
3.
Well,
Okay.
I've got 3 that are men and 1 that's a woman. Okay. And I'll tell you something recently that happened that was kind of like a brutal aha moment is, anyone that follows me on social media knows that I put out a lot of like kind of uplifting crap. And a lot of it comes from a place of discontent in me. And I posted something on Facebook and I just got hammered by a couple of strangers. And I was like, I got 5,900 strangers on here. I don't know what I'm doing with this, you know? And then I looked at my mentors. 4 out of 5 do not have Facebook pages. And I do not think that's a coincidence. I really don't. You know, so I deleted my Facebook page and I realized that, you know, that social media can definitely, it puts in this kind of false connection that people think because they're liking something or commenting on something that they know me. I'm an open book. I would prefer they call. I would prefer that they text, you know. Since I've deleted that, I have, you know, one of my favorite lighting directors hit me up and he's like, yo, I noticed you're off the book face. I'm like, oh yeah, you know. And I told him why. He deleted his, and I hear from him now once a week on my phone, and we're talking about stuff that is really beneficial, and I don't think we would have harvested that relationship otherwise, you know, just commenting on each other's shit or thumbs upping, thumbs downing. It's just, and man, checking your likes. Yeah. Checking your own likes is the new smoking. It's so bad for you. It's narcissism on crack. It'll kick your butt. Yeah. And I've been telling my interns, get back to the intern thing, dude, if you don't think that potential employers or tour managers are looking at your social media, you are tripping. And if you're taking selfies all the time, I personally won't hire you. I know 3 out of my 5 mentors won't hire you because they're worried that you're self-obsessed. And if there's too much of you or too much me between me and the mission, we're never going to get there.
Yeah.
It's got to be a team thing,
Yeah. It's, listen, I'm a white male. I'm never going to understand the struggles that, whatever it is, 80 or, percent of the rest of the world goes through. I'm just not. I can try, right? But what, then there's been some things, you're not on Facebook, but maybe you've heard through the grapevine. There are some things with some folks that are just playing out right now through an organization and some individuals and stuff, and about some posts and shit. And, I look at a lot of it and I think, like, how do you choose which path to take in terms of how you're going to affect the change, right? Are you going to be a spearhead or perhaps a duller blade that moves a little slower? And this is true for, like, race relations, gender equality, like whatever it is, right? And I know that in some cases, in a lot of cases, if it gets bad enough or if the situation requires it, then you have to, you got to raise your fist and you've got to be the activist. I don't even really know what my question is. I guess it's to sort of put it back to you and say, where do you fall? Do you feel like it's a fluid thing sometimes, right? Based on the situation where, hey, a cooler head may prevail than a hotter head here.
Man, I absolutely, I just urge people to mind their manners just a little bit, because you never got in trouble for keeping your mouth shut. Mm-hmm. Number two, like, I hate when people say, like, I can't affect other people by what I say, or, sticks and stones, whatever. Look, to say that you can't affect other people by your words is so small-minded and naive. You can either help alleviate some anxiety and stress in another person by being open and willing to listen, or you can add a whole bunch more baggage and bias to their life where they're going to just walk away going, those people are like blank. And all our solid relationships are built on trust and respect. I see some of that stuff on social media, and I've always just tried to counter it by putting out some healthy stuff. Mm-hmm. But man, people are super crummy to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see that on Facebook. You can see it in teams. I just want to remind people that undermining other people, though it's like this temporary fix where you feel bigger and better, ultimately it's a super dangerous move. It's as dangerous as it sounds. If you continue to undermine people, mm-hmm. eventually the earth above you will fall in. Mm-hmm. My team knows that it's a red flag. And drama, gossip, that kind of shit just is not tolerated. We air it out right away. You've got a problem. Let's talk about it. Like I said, that conflict, there doesn't have to be a resolution. There doesn't have to be a winner. That conflict will make such a solid team. Like some of my guys, I actually learned this from guys, guys have the innate ability to go head to head. They can even punch each other in the face. And then 10 minutes later, they're high-fiving and being buddies. Mm-hmm. There's something that happens when people are in conflict that you can get closer. Mm-hmm. But Facebook just highlights the drama. Yeah. And my teams don't treat each other that way. Our shortcomings have strength in them, and it's what makes our team dynamic. So, I'm not looking for excuses on why it's not going to happen again, like that blame, we're more deliberate and intentional, and we want to work on getting past that conflict and into the solution as quickly as possible. Yep. High energy environment. I literally have a pop star screaming in this ear, a tour manager screaming in this ear. And if you're saying, well, it wasn't me, so one of them's going to get strangled and it's not them. Like we
Right.
we just cannot, we ain't nobody got time for blaming.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm seeing on Facebook. It's just shift of blame. And I just, they're looking for that quick fix where they get this adrenalized rush of I'm right. And being right, I mean, really until I got into a role of leadership, I didn't truly understand this, but it doesn't matter if you win or lose, you're the loser if your whole intention was to be right.
Wow. Yeah.
And it takes active effort. Like we got to remind each other, we got to get into conflict and be okay with being in conflict and remind each other that like, hey, it's okay. Let's be in conflict. Let's be active. You can't coast anywhere but downhill. So let's not get complacent. I'm not going to let you off the hook with that. You know?
Yep. How old were you when you dropped out of high school?
What's junior year? 16. I had a car. Yeah.
That was it. That was the golden ticket right there.
I just needed a car. It was back in the pager days.
Sure.
I'd be sitting in class and I'd get a page from my producer about a session. And I'd just be like, peace.
Later.
My poor principal, he called my mom every day. Is she coming back or what? I don't know. I got an equivalency, and I did end up over at the Conservatory of Recording Arts in Tempe. And, I urge people to get an education. I write, it's part of my gig now is I get to write for some of these amazing vendors and manufacturers. And if I couldn't put complete sentences together, I probably wouldn't even be brave enough to do this podcast with you.
Right.
It's important to learn how to read and write and be somewhat educated.
Well, was it a hard decision to make? Did you feel like you might let yourself down by dropping out?
No, I mean,
or was that not even a concern? Was it just like, this is not my path?
I didn't have the active parents that were keeping an eye on me. Nobody even noticed, to be fair, until the principal started calling. I was already making money. I moved out of my mom's house when I was 17 and the tattoos were spreading. So if they had any thoughts in their minds that I was going to be a lawyer, it was like, over it. Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I first started going, drugs and alcohol and sex and the whole thing, they were worried. I was running around the world with punk rockers. I had stamps in my passport and they were just like, man, is she going to be all right? Coming out of the neighborhood I came out of, it was a valid concern, but I think now they see, I've managed to scoop up a gold record and I've got published crap everywhere and I've got a team of people and my mentors are handling the biggest artists in the world. I think mom is no longer concerned.
You do a lot of different stuff. You've done a lot of different stuff, from recording studios to systems teching to front of house and monitors and tour management, production manager, the whole damn thing. Where are you most comfortable? And I guess in that too, what's the thing that you start to do and you're like, I'm in my happy place now. This is good. This is good.
My happy place is actually making myself uncomfortable. I'm still chasing that feeling. I remember the very first arena tour I did where the lights go out and the crowd lights up,
It's my favorite part.
Oh my God. And you're just like, holy shit, please work, please work, please work, And that first song starts and you just finally get to be like, yay, it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still chasing that. Of course, after a couple of thousand tours, that wears off. And so you're looking for something else. This year, I get to blow off fireworks from the Hudson River in New York City. So last week, I'm advancing barges and I was telling my mentor, like, who the F do I think I am? I'm renting barges. And my pyro vendor's like, yeah, we need 2. I was like, we do? She's like, yeah. Yeah, you need 1 for the fireworks and 1 for the team. Like, yeah, of course we need 2, But it's that kind of like uncomfortable thing, I encourage people to be brave and know that all of the people before you had a very first show. All of the people before you had their very first time, being the TM or being the lead on something or being the guy in the broadcast truck or, like Super Bowl several years ago, I was the lead comm director. What?
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Communications for the biggest event in America? Who the hell do I think I am? But
and let's talk about that for a second. I'm totally drawing a blank on the guest that was on the show. There was someone on the show who talked me through doing a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Had an artist who played the Super Bowl and just like what that shit's like leading up to it, and then the event and the whole thing, and just like the crazy. So this year,
and it goes by so fast.
Oh, I'm sure it just flies, man.
It takes forever to build too, across the entire property.
Yeah,
1,120 points, rigging points. The average show has like 30.
Right.
So it takes 3 weeks. We have anywhere from 11 to 20 stages every year. Halftime's like the easiest one. The vendor that's been doing halftime has been there for a long time. And there's like, that team is like, okay, you guys are good, right? Because I got a lot of other crap to do,
Wow.
That is the biggest gig. And oh man, it makes me so nervous. But honestly, if you're one of those cats that's in a hotel right now and you're thinking like, I want to get on the road. I got to get out of the Hilton, dude. The Super Bowl is a corporate gig on crack. So you get good at that. You get good at loading in where you have to mind the carpet and mind the furniture, and you've got that party planner screaming at you and you have to be polite to her anyway. Like, those are the skills you need. I swear. Right. I see my guys, we have properties all over where, the rules are you cannot move after doors are open. I don't want to see you any forklifts doing anything. There's all these rules that to me, I was brought up in a culture where I had to go and work in hotels to pay my rent, and some of those skills, I'm like, why don't you guys know this? Oh, because they're roadies. They don't know that. I'm like, don't touch the carpet. Right. No, you may not drive a forklift. Gates are open, duh.
Yeah.
So it does. Wherever you are right now, you're learning skills that you're going to take with you. Don't think that the gig you're in right now is worthless or a waste of time. Growing through it and growing out of it, you're going to learn things here that you're going to get to where you're going. And maybe some complacent guy that just got some white glove gig out of a big vendorship, he's not going to know that stuff. Mm-hmm. And you're going to get the opportunity to share that with him.
So let's go back to the communications thing real quick. So you handled communications for the entire Super Bowl?
No. Okay. That year I was the comm director for all the stages other than halftime.
Damn.
Yeah. But still, record trucks, mix trucks, staging and carpentry, rigging, pyrotechnics, audio, video, lighting, stage managers. I mean, more departments than I knew what to do with. And I'm holding the end of the cable going, okay, yeah. And you want to be able to talk to him. Okay. And you want to, but you don't want to hear them. Okay. It's like this huge puzzle, and I was in the center of it.
Wow.
And everybody that does that gig for the first time at some point will be, the first to do it.
Will melt down.
They will have a meltdown. And I had PTSD because you got to listen to that for the whole gig too. All of the departments talking all at once and wait for them to say your name and make a request, so just this constant chatter. And then through the chatter, I would hear, Grace, we need another station on stage left at this stage for this team. And they only want to hear broadcast. Can I get fries with that? Like, okay, sure.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're like a switchboard operator, but there's only one of you for the whole thing. That's incredible.
Yeah. And it prepared me to get to PM now because I can put someone in that position, explain what needs to happen, prepare them as best as I can for the job, and know that they're going to do a great job. And if they have problems, they have an arsenal of people ready to scoop in and help them out. Mm-hmm.
You've referenced your team several times. So do you have your own production company? Is that how you work? Or you hire people as you need people and you just always go back to the same collection of people?
Yeah, we're a big network of people, and I don't have my own production company. I am my own production company. I'm freelance,
You're like a force of nature.
I work with people all over the globe, but you've got to have those people that you have nice, solid relationships with, and you can, actively reach out to them, and don't forget to reach out when you need something, ask questions. They don't necessarily have to be on that gig with you for you to reach out and be like, yo, hey, have you ever launched fireworks out of a river before?
Right.
It's good to have those people that you can call.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to the question of like, where are you most comfortable? What do you like the most in terms of, do you like to be in the bus, just go out, take that artist, go out on the road, spend 3 months, whatever it is, just doing the one thing? Or do you like the challenge? I think you do, of I'm in New York next week, blasting shit off the Hudson River. The week after that, I'm doing this. And 2 days before the Hudson, I'm going to be doing this. And do you like that? Do you want to be in a club, just sitting there mixing Larry Milburn and his acoustic guitar every Friday night?
That does sound good. I like to do a mix of everything. Tours at this point are almost like a little vacay,
Right.
Where you get comfortable with your gig, your gear, your people. But even during those tours, I'm advancing festivals for the next season, so I never really take a wholehearted break. But yeah, a nice balance of that is good. And it gives me a chance to reconnect with some of the people in my network and my vendors. And, I just assert that we're not in it for fame, money, or prestige. It's all about, insert blank artist here. We can do anything. We just pride ourselves on being able to pull off really gorgeous high-end events all over the world in any arena. And what's funny is I have friends that went chasing after just that one artist or that one name or that one gig, and maybe they caught it. If you're lucky enough that you catch a gig with Sting and you're on with them for the next 20 years, like, good for you. That's awesome. But ironically, some of those people after a few years will call me, and maybe the gig ran its course, and they're without that flexibility of being able to have fulfilled a lot of roles over a course of time. And now they're stuck like, man, I only get, monitor gigs, or I only get LED video tech gigs. Like, I really want to be an LD, or I really want to be a VJ. Like, why can't I push myself into that? And it's like, well, your original value was to chase after the coin and to chase after those gold records, and now you got them. They all match. They all got the same artist name on them, and it can be hard.
Yeah.
So I tried to keep a diverse resume from the very get-go. Even though I started off in the punk world, I accepted other gigs in the pop world and in TV that I wouldn't necessarily have said yes to, but I just knew that I needed that dynamic range and to be able to be flexible. And look, in retrospect, the only way that I can safely build these gigs and have a network of people to support that is to know what all those jobs need. And if I hadn't worked my way through being at front of house, being the IEM mixer, being the stage manager, being a runner, being a back of house liaison, or whatever, I took gigs all the way around the production. And now when I'm putting these together, it's super not simple, but it's easier for me to get on a call and advance with an artist and understand, because I've toured as an A-level artist, TM and FOH, and I've also been on the back end receiving A-level artists. I know what their needs are. I know what their troubles are going to be. We can kind of get in front of some of those things and discuss it, and they don't end up on site upset like, where's the loading dock?
Right.
Why am I having to cross load these things? Why didn't I have my freight guy in here 2 days ago? I'm aware what those issues are going to be. I see them coming, that I wouldn't, if I'd only been on the tour bus, there's no way.
Yeah. Sorry. Just like, you're a fucking powerhouse, man. You're a badass, Grace.
Aw, thanks.
My God. So what? I totally lost the question. So I'm going to throw this one at. I can't believe we're 50 minutes into this thing already. I feel like we've barely touched any of the audio stuff.
I remembered my TM. I don't know why I was blanking, and I guess I hate name dropping or whatever, but I just want to give him a shout out though.
Yeah.
My TM from NoFX, Kent, is the one running Slims, and the I'll just go ahead and drop a few names. Fuck it. Or you can go ahead and bleep out the F word if you want to.
No, we swear on this show all the fucking time. Don't worry about it.
There we go.
Yeah.
So he comes in, and I'd advanced the show pretty well. I was piloting Simon Cowell's new pop project, and I'd always wanted to work for Simon, and I knew he was going to be rough on me, which is, like, you need to have a little bit of those people in your life that are willing to be like, you're not shit, you need to do it this way, and really like knock you to your knees, you know? And I'm not saying you just take it, but I'm saying where you don't fight back, you know your place, and you have someone that's going to right size you, and that's who Kent was for me back when I was a punk kid. And it's just funny that there I was with the Simon Cowell project coming into his club with a semi-truck worth of shit, which is what, the people on the first Gaga tour will tell you. That's what they did. You take a semi-truck worth of shit and you stuff it into clubs and theaters where it does not fit. You're bringing in generators because the power won't even support this package that you're bringing in. And he watched me walk through the door with this semi-truck worth of shit, and he's just laughing his ass off because he knows. He's like, I did this to you.
Wow.
I made you the kind of engineer that can walk into a club that, he hadn't. They upgraded their system recently, and I believe it's a pretty nice acoustics rig, like maybe a small Cara hang or something. But the last time I was in there, I was probably the last financial push to help that happen, honestly. But the last time I was in there, I was like, holy shit, this is not enough speakers. Like, what people don't tell you about pop gigs is, I always thought it was really hard doing metal gigs where you have to get it really fucking loud and it's got to be clear, and you got to have both of those guitars can't be competing, and you've got to just have that nice blend. And it was always difficult, but I got really good at it. I got my ass handed to me on a pop gig because nobody tells you that what you're battling against, he can tell me what he wants to say about like sound quality, and this boy is supposed to sound like this and that boy is supposed to sound like that. But oh my God, 112 decibels of screaming girls. Fuck your mix. Fuck that mix. Ain't nobody hearing shit.
Right. Right.
I've got a SPL limit of 109, and these 14-year-old girls screeching at 4K. They just hit that note where you're just like, oh, I'm going to go deaf.
Yeah. Yeah.
A metal gig, like, your hearing is safe compared to go do Justin Timberlake or something like that. Oh my God. And I had to phone a friend. I was seriously like 3 gigs into that. I had to call one of my buddies that was big pop guy. I was like, help. I don't know if maybe I suck at this. Maybe I'm a shitty engineer. I don't know. And he gave me the lowdown on a couple of plugins that was like, dude, you're not a shitty engineer. If you do not have these plugins, you are so fucked. Because the boys would like pull their mic down, they're about to do the it's all about choreography and pyro, right? Sure. It has little to do with singing, though they were gorgeous singers. But they would take the mic down, and then 112 decibels of screams would come through it. And I was like, I'm going to die,
Wow.
But back to Kent and Slim. So I walk into this club, and he's got the old PA still hanging there, and I was like, dude, I am fucked. Gracie, you got this. We did gigs in Portugal where there was like barely enough PA to fortify the vocals, and the guitars are turned up to 11 and the kids are jumping off the balcony, and we made that happen. You'll be fine. I literally took side fills and wedges and was like ratchet strapping them to these poles, and he's dying laughing. But that was it. He taught me how to go into clubs where I was the only tech. And my favorite punk rock show, I got to mix Propagandhi, and the lead singer stomped out an NL4 cable. I'm the only tech. I'm pushing through this mosh pit, elbowing, because that's what girls do in pits, we use our elbows. Yeah. And I'm elbowing to get through there, and I've got my screwdriver, and I'm like looking at him like, don't you fucking step on me. And he gives me the thumbs up, and I'm putting the NL4 back together, and I pop it in, and he gives me the mean thumbs up, like I got it back, and then I'm pushing back through the crowd. And man, like that's what taught me how to be a good engineer. Here I am, 10 plus years later, I'm using those skills that I learned in that shitty club to make, now these pop, they're going to be pop megastars, sound good enough to get through this first tour so that the label will see this is worthwhile,
Wow.
And he was stoked.
Awesome, man. I bet he was so stoked. Yeah.
It was like buying our t-shirts and stuff, and I'm dying laughing as we're rolling out. I turn around, and of course, like every loadout is just a pain in the ass because I've got thousands of girls surrounding my semi truck and my buses, and I learned to park the buses a whole block away from the venue so that we would like kind of bait the girls in the wrong direction so I could load out.
Right, right.
I would just have to wait for loadout, and they'd learn all the text names, and they'd be screaming like, I want a water gun, I want a beanbag. They want all the props. And
sure.
I turn around, and Kent is just decked out. He's got the t-shirt, he's got the hat, he just loves and supports me no matter what. And that's what I love about my network and my team. Like, I don't care if it's a dirty punk tour, it's a metal tour, or we got some pop megastar, because our values aren't inserted in who it is, and the fame and notoriety is not a part of it. It's about producing the best show ever. And we root each other on, like when I did have Facebook and I'd see one of my friends' artist was on the Grammys, like, I don't care that their artist performed. I mean, that was good or whatever, but watching the performance, seeing how they pulled it off, seeing how they scaled down their tour and get that same vibe, so you'd get this little sneak peek of what the tour looks like, but on this one song, one stage, tiny little stage. Right. And then I'd hit them up right away, like, dude, you guys killed it. That looks so good. That sounded so good. High five. Never mentioning the artist's name, because it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
Right. So with the values, with the team, all that kind of stuff, do you take a lot of time to have these discussions with them as a group? Like as you go into something, do you make a conscious decision to have that pep talk before something starts? Like, let's remember why we're here, blah blah blah. Or is it more of an unwritten thing, and these are conversations you have with your friends and your network sort of offline?
Yeah, I don't really evangelize any kind of mission. I mean, other than you and I talking candidly about it now. Yeah. But I live each day when I get off the tour bus, I walk into that room, and I kind of like give myself some little pep talks if I'm having a shitty day before I ever meet my labor leads and my stage hands. And I try to lead by example, and I don't hesitate if I turn around and see someone on my team treating a stagehand like shit. I'll never humiliate them in front of a group of people, but I will pull them aside and be like, yo, what's going on? Talk to me. How about if next time you got a problem and you can't do anything but scream, you come scream with me first, like you can, I give them permission. Like, you're allowed to be a human and be emotional, but you're really not allowed to treat people like shit. It's not allowed. I don't care if he doesn't have any teeth in his head and he's doing everything wrong. We get crummy stagehands. I've had stagehands at state fairs that you're like, is this early release? Like, I don't think these are stagehands, like, but that doesn't give you any excuse to treat them like crap. And anybody that follows me on social media has heard me say over and over and over again, if you see someone treating someone else like shit or they're treating you like shit, it's more to do with them than it is to do about you.
Sure.
So try not to be defensive. Take a step back. We're human, and of course we have an emotional reaction to it. That's your opportunity to take a breath and think about it.
Grace, when you are not wearing your cape, flying around in your invisible plane, kicking ass as Wonder Woman, who are you? What do you do? You're hanging out on a sailboat, building a house in Missoula.
Yeah.
What do you do to take care of yourself?
Yeah, I need that. It's hard work doing what we do, and like I'm watching the little email icons, like the number keeps going up as we're sitting here talking, and I'm like, I need to be on my boat. I need to be sanding stuff. I need to be, sailing's cool because people will say sailing's so much fun, but when you're out there, it's literally like, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die. And then you get home and you're like, yeah, I didn't die.
Yeah.
So it right sizes me. It puts things in perspective. There's a lot of projects, both with the sailboat and with the house in Missoula, that right size me. I know a little bit about electricity, of course, enough to keep my team safe and sound and to keep my vendors and my artists happy. But when it comes to doing it on a house, there's a lot to learn. I've sat down and cried over some plumbing projects, and that's really important to me. I broke this finger. It's just, it keeps my head where it needs to go. I can get off the phone with the J-Lo team or the Sting team or whatever, and then I look around my house and it's just studs, and I'm like, shit. I've got, or on the boat, I've got a leak, or I've got to redo the throttle cable, and then it doesn't seem so important. Whatever I thought was so important about, my pyrotechnics team not coming in at the dollar that I needed, or the vendor, letting me down here or there. Mm-hmm. It just right sizes me. It's a good balance, and it keeps everything in perspective. We have the reason that my team's mission statement is insert blank pop star here is because it does sink in. I don't care who you are. You end up on a stage with 200,000 people screaming. You get that buzz. You get back on the private jet. You get off in the other city, and it happens again and again and again. If you don't have a team of people back home that will right size you, shit gets squirrely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does. You will at some point get convoluted, and we all know people like that. I call them punch drinkers. We all know people that drank the punch, mm-hmm. and heaven forbid they lose the gig. When they lose the gig, they're devastated because their values are based in that gig. They think they are that gig, and they're lost without it. So it protects you, I'm not just saying like humble yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it protects you. It keeps you safe, and it keeps your gig moving forward. It keeps your career moving forward, and it's going to keep you right size. So when you lose that gig, mm-hmm. when you unfortunately break your foot and have to say no to the next tour, you're not devastated. Right. You know that it's not who you are, that mm-hmm. you got a lot going on for you that has nothing to do with that gig.
What are you working toward?
What am I working toward? Oh, man. I would like to be able to develop my own teams all year long. At the moment, I still take on other people's teams, which is great. Mm-hmm. I learn a lot from walking into gigs where I don't get to pick the vendors, where I don't get to pick my team. That's where, those conflicts and the tools that my network teaches me actually come in handy. If I can't actually do what I say I can do, then screw me, right? So I'd love at some point to be able to be hired by a producer, take all my vendors, take all my teams, and just execute like a boss. But at the moment, that has to grow naturally. You can't just do that.
Yeah.
So maybe I get to do that a couple of times a year, and then the rest of the year, I don't pick anybody at Super Bowl. I'm like, hey, how you doing? My name's Grace. I'm the new kid. Please don't beat me up.
Right.
Please be gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, listen, I want to be conscious of your time. You're getting a lot of emails. Shit's blowing up for you. I know you got a lot coming up. I'm going to hit you with one last question. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You could time travel. You probably could time travel. You figured out a way, Grace, to fucking mind shift the world, okay? And you get to meet your 16-year-old self the day that you have decided not to go back to school and drive off in your car to whatever gig or whatever it was you were going to do. And what would you now tell that young lady?
Oh, man. There might have been a time, maybe only a few months ago, where I would have a whole spiel for her about, not letting sex or drugs or alcohol interfere with what's going on. But those lessons were important for me.
Right. Now you're like, fuck it. Go have a good time.
Go have a good time. No, I did. I definitely lost my cool at some point. My sister passed away while I was on tour, and I definitely had that like, well, fuck it. I've been this good girl, and I'm just going to rage. And it took me to my knees in a lot of ways. And I think there would have been a time where I would have gone back and told her, like, don't do drugs. Not that any teenager would listen to you,
Yeah.
Don't involve yourself with the wrong people and mind your P's and Q's. But man, trust and respect is the only way we can get to really affect other people's life. And I've already told you that one of my biggest missions is to support a culture of hardworking, like-minded people. And those people aren't going to trust or listen to me unless I'm a willing participant and able to tell them where I fell short and how I failed, and those failures in a lot of ways have set me free. So, if anything, I would just tell her, hang in there. There were a lot of points where I thought to give up, and luckily I had a lot of good mentors around me, a lot of healthy people that, saw I was going down a dark road, and they just kept an eye on me. They didn't really try to grab me and tell me not to do those things, but they just kept an eye on me, and they loved me, and I hope to be able to do those same actions for other people. And I know that being honest about like, I fell short here and there. This is where I went wrong. This is how it fucked me over. That's going to make me more transparent and trustworthy to people out there on the road that are having a hard time. And I think it makes me a better leader because, dude, I could smell it on you. Like I'm not a parent, but, in a lot of ways when I'm on the road, I feel like I can smell when things are going in a bad direction. Mm-hmm. And, it's my job to keep the team safe. And if there's a loose wire, it's also my job, unfortunately, to cut them loose. And I have to do that sometimes. It makes me so uncomfortable to have someone screaming in my face that I'm a piece of shit because I'm firing them. But I've had those same people come back to me years later and thank me and say, I've had some of them still say, fuck you, but that's cool too.
Yeah.
But, I know that I'm doing the right thing for the team and they might not know it, but I'm doing the right thing for them. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the few industries that you can get fired and actually go up the ladder. So, I just encourage people, like, even if you get fired, be aware of how you're treating people because you will see all of us again. And we switch roles all the time. My boy Ruben, I love him so much because he's one of my biggest guys in my corner that, face shoves people for me when they get out of line. But, he'll tell you, like, we take turns. Sometimes I'm in charge. Sometimes he's in charge. Sometimes I'm patch tech. Sometimes he's stage manager. Sometimes I'm PM. Sometimes he's my monitor engineer. When he was coming up, I treated him like crap. You think he would be nice to me when he's in charge? Like, just be aware of how you're treating people on your way up the ladder. You know, if someone fires you for being a drunk piece of shit, thank them. You know, maybe not to their face, but eventually you're going to be like, all right, I see my part in that. I understand what's good about that. And you may get the opportunity at some point, if I fired you, you may get the opportunity at some point to be my on-site PM. And I hope you shake my hand and say hi, knowing that, like, dude, I did it too. All's well.
Grace, you're awesome. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate hanging out with you, Larry.
Grace Royse, what can I say? Thank you so much for coming on the show. Truly inspiring, folks. Head back, seek her out, find yourself a mentor. In fact, why don't you find Grace and have her be your mentor? I'm telling you, it's going to help. All right, stay tuned next week for episode 128. We've got studio owner, producer, composer, Mr. Ashley Shepard is on the show with us. During the week, you can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify, all as Roadie Free Radio. Check out the website, roadiefreeradio.com, and send me a note because you know I want to hear from you. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com. And in the meantime, my friends, you all be safe out there. No roadies, no rock and roll. Hey guys, just one last thing. I certainly hope you enjoyed today's episode and you found something useful in it, and hopefully you got inspired. If you did, I'd love you to head over to Patreon and consider being a supporter of ours. You can support the show for as low as $1 a month, and I'll tell you right now, every little dollar helps. So head over to patreon.com/Roadie Free Radio and think about becoming a supporter of the show. I'd really appreciate it. I thank you in advance. And until then, I'll see you guys on the road.